when I first saw the trailer for The Acolyte, I had no interest in it. It looked dull, it looked flat, there's already a few too many Star Wars shows, so I just didn't plan on checking it out. Hell, I wasn't even gonna do a DisneyCember on it. But then came The Divide. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the divide between audiences and critics. Critics seem to love it, audiences seem to hate it, and I love it when this happens. I love going in and saying, where am I gonna land in all this? The reason being, either way I look at it, I'm probably gonna have a good time. Because the only thing I love more than good Star Wars is bad Star Wars. Oh yeah, I love me some Piosa, some Wookiee porn, some branches that stop professionally trained assassins. I guess it's like Shyamalan, I like it when it's good, but I love it when it's bad. So I made a conscious decision to sit down and watch the entire series, and boy can I tell you, it's not worth the praise or the hatred, because this is the most boring thing I've seen from Star Wars in a while. It was a slog to get through this. It was everything I assumed it was going to be from the trailer and so much less. My God, what happened to getting passionate about things that were actually interesting to get passionate about? The story takes place 100 years before the prequels, which boy, for a $180 million show, it sure was dull looking 100 years ago, where an assassin is taking out Jedi. The catch? She isn't using a weapon, so the Jedi can't use weapons either, because that's part of their code, even though she's clearly using a weapon. She has these knives. Why doesn't that count? If Michael Myers came at me with a kitchen knife and the police are like, well, do you have a weapon? I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna say, yeah, you had a kitchen knife. What's wrong with you? Well, anyway, this Acolyte is taking out Jedi with her not weapons, and it just so happens she has an identical twin sister. Yeah, it's one of these stories. And I will give credit, they don't do the number one stupid thing I think everybody thought they were gonna do, where the whole galaxy thinks she's the bad guy and they're gonna chase after her throughout like most, if not half the season. And no, like episode 1, they're like, hey, we know it's not you, let's find the real killer. That's cool, that was very nice to see. This is May, played by Amandla Stenberg, and she meets up with her old Jedi master, Sol, played by Jung-jae. She left the Jedi life behind her, but she knows that her sister is involved killing all these Jedi, so the search is on to find out why and who it is that's secretly calling all the shots. Alright, so on the surface, this doesn't sound that bad. I mean, there is a mystery. We don't usually get that many mysteries in Star Wars, and it isn't just asking what happened in the past to cause all this, but also who's this evil mastermind Sith who is pulling all the strings. And while I won't say the mystery is obvious, it does go the exact direction you would think a show like this would go. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna pretend I knew who this person was at the beginning, but maybe an episode after they were introduced, I put together who it was. And the mystery of what led up to all this is also not the most difficult to piece together. Okay, I'm not gonna pretend I knew like all the details or anything, but don't you know there's gonna be like a misunderstanding between the two twins, and the Jedi did something wrong, but they weren't intentionally evil. It's just some sort of screw up or reading a situation wrong, and they try to cover it up, and all that goes without saying. It's what are they gonna add on top of it to make it interesting? And the answer is nothing. Like I said, this is very much a whole lot of nothing. The acting in this show is beyond wooden. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna act like they act so bad it's hilarious.
Bunta tree's so beautiful. I don't want to do the ascension.
Okay, sometimes it is. But most of the time, everybody's underperforming. I just don't believe anything these people are saying. I don't believe they're really in these scenes. And part of that might be they're not really written that interesting. Like, I don't know, tell me a few things about May. What do I know about May? She fixed ships. I mean, okay, I do get her backstory, but it doesn't define her a whole lot as a character, nor her sister Asha, who both kinda have a big change halfway through, and it doesn't feel earned. It comes out of nowhere. I'm just like, okay, I already don't know a ton about these characters, but I know they wouldn't just flip like this, like out of nowhere, and neither the story nor the writing supports it at all. It's another example of commentary that you can totally do, but like I've said over and over, is being done way too much nowadays, especially at Disney, where it's very, very direct. This can only be interpreted as one thing. And I won't give away what it is, but it is pretty obvious by the end. It's very clear who the Jedi are supposed to represent and what the message is they're trying to get across. You can do this kind of direct commentary, you just can't let it override the characters and story, and that's what I'm seeing so much from Disney nowadays. They are so focused on crafting this incredibly obvious message that they think is really subtle, that they overlook why we're supposed to care about these people or the story. The one actor I'll give a little bit of a pass to is Jung-jae. Now, I've never seen Squid Games, but even I know this guy's like a huge international star. And this is one of his few journeys into American television. And there's about half a good performance here, and the half that doesn't work isn't necessarily his fault. There's clearly a language barrier, like half the time he'll emphasize words that aren't supposed to be emphasized, or his accent will be a little too thick, it's hard to understand what he's saying. But the other half of the time he does a really good job, and the accent can sometimes add a Ken Watanabe feel to it, like it adds more weight and dignity to what he's saying. Like, you know, when Jackie Chan started out, everybody loved him for the stunts and how he was so upbeat, but nobody was really gonna hire him for voiceover work, you know what I mean? But now, people are, and he's actually not bad at it. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda dug him as Splinter. So I get the feeling this guy keeps going in America, he could become something really cool. Everyone else, though, completely forgettable. Hell, everything else is completely forgettable. I can't believe this show cost $180 million. These sets are so claustrophobic. And even when they go shoot outside, it doesn't seem like they do a ton of it. Like, is it just Disney doing reshoots and saying, no, let's change this up. No, this has to now match whatever Star Wars thing we're gonna release later? Like, how are these budgets so crazy? Like, yeah, I know it's supposed to be 100 years in the past, but I think of like Avatar and Korra, and there's 100 years in between those, and both those worlds still look amazing. They could have done something like that. I guess I can say the fighting is pretty cool. Like, they got some neat moves that they utilize in this. I like that helmet that a lightsaber can't destroy. That's really cool. And yeah, I guess the kung fu thing I'm not the biggest fan on. Like, I get it. They're supposed to be fighting without weapons, but can't they combine it a little bit more with the Jedi thing? I mean, I see Carrie-Anne Moss here. I'm just gonna think of the Matrix. Everybody is. They're just doing kung fu. But if you had it where maybe she never blocks, she just keeps ducking out of the way or using the Force to push back the opponent, maybe that'd be something. That would look really cool, but also keep to what the Jedi is all about. Something about just seeing straight up kung fu doesn't quite look right. With that said, there's a ton of things you can easily nitpick, like how do these sisters have almost the exact same hairstyle, even though they're literally light years apart? But sure, Star Wars from the beginning has a ton of things you can nitpick, and it hasn't kept that close to the continuity. I'm obviously not gonna let that destroy the entire show for me. Oh wait, I'm supposed to. Yeah, it turns out I was hating the show for the wrong reason. I thought everybody hated it because it was boring and dull, but no, it's this penis guy wasn't here in the past. There's lesbian witches now in Star Wars. Oh no, we can't allow that. We're a galaxy of incest and proud. Christ, imagine if there was a whole planet of witches that kept the men submissive. Yeah, the culture war bullshit extended to this too, and like a lot of people, I'm exhausted by it. Now Ninja Turtles is gonna suck because April's black now? Okay, that's fine. Oh, you're gonna boycott X-Men 97 because Morph goes by they, them? Okay, it's absolutely amazing, but that's outside your echo chamber, I can't help you. It's the boy who cried woke, it doesn't mean anything anymore. I'm gonna judge something by the character and story, not what extremist checkboxes are being marked off. With that said, I have no idea how this got a good score on Rotten Tomatoes either. Like, this is clearly bad. Could it be the critics are also judging something by these extremist checkboxes just for the other side? I guess, but I feel like I've seen other movies and shows that had a lot of that left-leaning stuff, but still got bad reviews. Well, I did see some critics say that they thought it was okay, but mainly the thing that pulled them through was the ideas. The idea that the Jedi isn't always perfect and good. But here's the thing, Clone Wars tackled this better than this show did. It dedicated a lot more time and had a lot more interesting commentary. Maybe critics just haven't seen the show? I mean, it took me a long time to get into it. I remember people saying it starts off slow, even kind of bad, and then it gets good and there's just a million episodes, so maybe they just couldn't find the time. I don't know. But whatever, I'm talking about it because I feel like I have to talk about it because everybody has talked about it, and probably for clicks, honestly. I mean, you know that rumor that critics are paid off by Disney to give them positive reviews, which, if that's the case, I would love some of that money. I've literally dedicated an entire month to you. I'm starting to wonder if it's the other way around, because there are so many videos hating on this show that I'm really wondering if Disney paid them off to get people to hate watch it. Which, if that's the case, I would love some of that money. I've been hating on modern Disney long before it was popular. So in my opinion, yeah, just watch Clone Wars. Everything they're talking about here is done so much better there, and there's a lot more episodes. So much of them standing around on these brown, bland sets, just talking back and forth, explaining the message, is nothing compared to just Ahsoka walking away at the end of this one episode. That still sticks with me. That is just so ingrained in my mind, more than anything in this show. Hell, even when it looks like they're gonna have an interesting idea, like there's a Wookiee Jedi in this. Holy smokes, I want to see a Wookiee Jedi, and they get rid of him like almost instantly. That's kind of what they do. They take anything that could be interesting, they make it instantly dull. The episode where they go back and they talk about what did happen on that night, not only can you figure it out really quick, but they practically play half of the previous episode you saw before with it. Like, yeah, we saw all this. Why are we listening to all these lines again? Like, we can put it together. It's bad, and not a fun kind of bad. Everyone I know who watched it and isn't into one extreme side or the other pretty much says the same thing. It's nothing. It's not worth any of the attention it's gotten, except perhaps the budget. I mean, seriously, what is going on with Disney and these budgets? This just does not look like it cost as much as it did. Go back to working within limitations, find clever workarounds for the budget problems. Sometimes that actually helps the story and characters. And give us an interesting world we want to live in, not a world that relies on a past interesting world that we wanted to live in. It's by no means the worst Star Wars thing I've ever seen, but I think it's pretty clear why this isn't getting a season 2.